Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I messed up. I did the big reveal too early. How are you doing, Facebook? I've been waiting for this all day. I'm so excited. I would say this is our first live virtual green room, but we did one at LinkedIn earlier today. But that's LinkedIn. You know, you can't have any fun on LinkedIn. I don't even think it's legal to have any fun on LinkedIn. So I really think Facebook is the one I was looking forward to today, and that's where my people are. And nothing makes me sound older than that statement right there. There's nothing that my people are all on Facebook. But hopefully, if you're watching this on the replay or if you jump in here live, thanks for checking it out. I got a great show for you today. But first, I am Matt Kazam. If you don't know who I am, I'm the human scientist and the creator of the Entrepreneur CEO Stand-Up Challenge. And this virtual green room is an idea I've had for a while because I have these amazing students who have these amazing stories, and we're doing so many things behind the scene. And yes, people do see them do stand-up at the end of the stand-up challenge, but they never really see the conversations that we have. And now I'm changing that. This is hopefully, a very casual conversation, much like I used to do when I was in the green rooms of comedy clubs for so many years. And nobody ever gets to see those conversations. So now I'm changing that with these lives. It's my chance to go live with my incredible students and give you a front row seat into these conversations, stories, ideas that make the stand-up challenge so special. Because the people I get to work with, they just blow me away. I mean, these program and really stand-up comedy in general, the people that are drawn to stand-up comedy are the bold, the brave, the innovative leaders. These are the disruptors, the problem solvers, and they want to use the power of stand-up comedy and learn the craft, more importantly, so that they can share their truth and connect with their audiences in ways that only stand-up comedy and laughter can do. And I've worked with amazing people in the program, legends like Kevin Harrington. He's done this stand-up challenge twice. Kevin was the original shark on Shark Tank. Seat one, first guest, first person they picked was Kevin Harrington. And I get to learn the stories and so much about them and then take that and turn it into stand-up. I've also had Nick and Omar from College Hunks Hauling Junk, two guys that met in college and got a van from Omar's grandmother and turned it into a $300 million empire and redefined an industry, which is a lot what I think our guest today is doing. These people just don't succeed. They change the game. But I realized something, when we had these conversations and we mine for the material, let's try to recreate that here with the live virtual green room. And today I'm going to introduce you to someone who's just as remarkable as any student I've ever had. Katrina Romatowski is the CEO and founder of Respace. And once you find out about Respace, it's going to be running through your mind going, why hasn't somebody else really done this? What a great and needed idea. She's creating hyper affordable home ownership in neighborhoods that feel and really for that most part are out of reach. And they're building a model for home ownership for everyone that's going to create wealth and change, the landscape of how the industry is done. And it's solving a societal problem that many of my students do that goes far beyond money. Katrina's vision, like so many of my other leaders I've worked with, is about creating impact and solving problems that matter. And when it comes to humor and storytelling, Katrina just gets it. When I spoke at a recent EO event in Seattle, I put out there that I was doing the stand-up challenge, and she was the first person to sign up. And I realized that, getting to know her, she's the perfect example of why I want to do these lives. So with no further ado, let me introduce you to the trailblazing CEO of Respace, Katrina Romatowski. Katrina, welcome to the virtual green room.
What an intro, Matt.
So good to have you here today. So I told everyone about Respace, and when I first learned about what you're doing, I got it right away. Because I hang out with a lot of young people. I play disc golf, and all my crew is all millennials, So I'm seeing how they're living. I'm seeing what's important to them and what's not, I mean, and then when I saw Respace, I go, oh my God, every one of my disc golfers would want to do this. So some of them live in vans, they live in tiny homes. They don't need these big things that, that we used to have, and they want to have it. They really want to, they don't want to live 2 hours outside of the city. They have the rest of their life, to live in the suburbs. They only get to be young once, and they're really embracing that. So I was so engaged with what you're doing, and then I get to know you, and I find out that you're the mom of 6 kids, married to the awesome Rick. And then it hit me. I go, if anybody knows about shared living spaces, it's you.
Yep. True story. Married. Rick is my awesome husband who works in the business with me. 6 kids. And I definitely have, they're all the way from 7 years old to 25. So I have definitely learned the full spectrum of shared spaces. But, ReSpace is actually different. It's so different because it's something like than that, right? Think about co-living, people who are already house hacking, co-living. Actually, a third of the United States, outside of people who are in romantic relationships or, their adult kids have come home, they're already co-living. So let's just take what they're already doing and apply ownership. So they now have their individual mortgages and individual ownership interest. And with the ReSpaces, the ones that we do, they're really well thought out. It's that they have private suites. It's well designed, and it's not like we just take some 4 randos and stick them in a typical house, and kind of like a reality TV show, right? And 6 hours later, the Lord of the Flies emerges. That's actually more like my house.
Yeah, probably.
So more like what I've got at home, but that only works when you're legally related. So, think of like a youth hostel, my house like a youth hostel, or, I was a super host with Airbnb. So think really bad Airbnb, the kind where like one by one, each of the guests wind up getting into your bed in the middle of the night. So, or the bathroom, right? They've got their own bathroom, but do they use it? No, they use mine, right? Toothbrushes everywhere, toothpaste on the counter. It's just a mess all the time. And it's not like I can, Airbnb, at least I could have given them a bad review or, charged them double cleaning fees.
Right. And your kids never check out. So,
and they never check out.
Never going to check out. No, and I've seen the designs and the renderings and the videos of what you're building. And I was always just blown away by how much you've thought it through, in terms of the shared living spaces that are as nice as any resort we have here in Las Vegas. And then the suites themselves, much nicer than your kids' rooms now. I could probably assure you of that.
Yeah, my kids are like, why can't we live someplace like this?
I can have a washer and dryer and maid service in my house.
Right. So, and we're also, I would say parents everywhere are going to thank me. We're solving a really big problem for parents. All the boomerangs, the kids, college is out. They get the phone call. Hey, mom, dad, can I move back home? And that's where, hey, ReSpace, right? So sure you can. Yeah, I'll sell you your old room and I'll give you unlimited access to the kitchen and we'll split the Wi-Fi bill 4 ways.
Yeah. I think that's perfect. And if you go the other way, you'd be like, can I move home? No, I just sold it to some guy named Larry.
That's even better.
There's no more room at the end. There's no more room on the end, And
I like that one even better.
Yeah. And it's just, it's genius on so many levels from the people, the problem that you're solving, and the opportunities you're creating, for both home buyers and investors, but I still can't get my mind around these 6 kids because I have 1 kid and I know it, and I just go 6 kids. I don't even think it's 6 times as hard, but you assure me it's easier in some ways. But when I have 1 kid, they're so honest. That's the problem. Real problem with me kids. I got 1 kid that shoots it to me straight, tulip, but when you have 6 kids, for me, that might be a little too much honesty.
Mouths of babes.
Are they your toughest critics or are they your biggest fans? Man,
you know what? I'd say they're my biggest fans. They love ReSpace. This is really a family business. Everyone, has had a part in it. And but in all honesty, toughest critics too. I was telling my daughter, I said, she's 12, and I was saying, hey, guess what? I'm going to do stand-up challenge. Matt Kazam's going to, doing the stand-up challenge, and I'm going to, be funny. And she said, wait, what do you mean? Like, you're going to be a comedian? I said, yeah, well, you know, they get up on stage and they tell jokes. And she's like, oh, you're screwed.
See, I couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle that. And you're not screwed. You have me, so, and you're so funny.
See, you
so
better make me funny, Matt.
I will. Funny's already there, but and you have 6 kids, right? So I mean, if we just do 2 minutes a kid, that's our 12 minutes, you know. And
yeah, joke's on you, kid.
and you can also threaten them with that. It's like, you know, do your homework. I'm going to put you in the act. You know, I should put that on the landing page for sure. But tell everyone. I mean, they're already hearing this. They're like, oh my gosh, she's got 6 kids. She's launching the business. You know, she's doing all these things. Why in her right mind would she take on stand-up comedy on purpose? You know, I mean, so let people know this wasn't court ordered or anything, right? You've come willingly. This isn't community service or something, you know.
You know, first of all, it scared the pants out off me. And but when I saw you at EO down at the retreat, the entrepreneurs organization, and you were talking about, first of all, you were hilarious when you did. I loved your stand-up, and then the next day when you came and you started talking about the science of humor. I mean, you've taught at the Smithsonian and Harvard, right? Like, you have taught not funny people to be funny, and you were breaking it down like, here's like, there's actually a methodology to it. So it gave me a little bit of hope. And yeah, absolutely. So when I saw that, and then not only that, but when you get into the science of it, and like, you know, just kind of your brain and how it's wired, and I've only had a couple of sessions with you, and already I just notice it, like these things that you're teaching me, like just getting kind of baked in. You know, I've had conversations, and all of a sudden I'm like thinking about things that are funny, and so it's more lighthearted and like closing. Oh my gosh, it brings a level of just kind of ease for me, and you know, the person I'm talking to. I mean, it's changed the game for closing, which is incredible. And yeah, I just, you know, do things that scare you, right? Don't.
I mean, that is the number one reason people do this, bar none, is it scares the pants off them. No, number one. The number one reason people don't do the stand-up challenge, it scares the pants off of them. So, but that's where growth happens. You have to get so far out of your comfort zone. And, you know, I'm glad that it's reawakening the humor that lives inside of you, because that's what I tell everyone. You know, all I'm really doing, we're all born funny. Kids laugh 400 times a day. You have 6 kids. That's, you know, they seem to be laughing way more than we are, but, you know, they don't have a mortgage, you know.
That's because they have us to laugh at.
Right, and they have us to laugh at. But you know, something happens as we get older, but it doesn't mean that we all aren't funny. Just, you know, when we're born into this world, we pick and choose, you know, and we ordain certain people based on characteristics they have. So we nurture the ones that we consider funny, but we're all funny, and it is the most powerful connection tool that we have. So in business, especially at the launch, you know, when you're out there trying to, you know, create your brand and deliver your message and get investors and things like that. You got to make a connection. You've got to get the audience to connect the dots. That's the beauty of the anatomy of joke writing that we teach, is that the wasted motions and the words that don't need to be there, you become focused on those words, and the message is totally clear and totally changed. So I'm glad that's all working out for you. And but you know, I always say the second we take stand-up comedy for granted, we're screwed. So you could be screwed. So you know, have that healthy, a healthy fear, but just know that that's a comfortability issue, not an ability issue. I've definitely taken people not nearly as funny as you, and really, I like teaching people who don't think that themselves is funny. The people who already think they're funny, you know, I mean, yes, I can teach them and the science works and all that, but the real power is in teaching people who don't necessarily think they're funny. Because
now, actually, I've seen the transformation, because I've seen people who really weren't funny, and then, you know, I've seen them speak before and seen them at other events.
Yeah.
And then they're up on stage at this conference and or at this retreat, and they're freaking hilarious. I was totally, laughing just at some of the stories they were telling in the retreat. But then when we did the stand up night,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I was genuinely like, they had the whole crowd rolling.
Yeah.
And these are not people; these are like kind of dry business owners.
Yeah. And they're doing stand up. I mean, they're doing
Yeah,
12
yeah.
minutes of stand up, which even 5 minutes when it's going well, it's 5 short minutes. When it's not going well, it's 300 long ass seconds. And you feel every single one of them. But back to Respace, because I know it's a great idea, and I've been working with you, and every layer I find out about what you're doing, I'm still so impressed. My disc golfers are going to be your customers. But when I was vetting, all the things about Respace that are out there, I came across this news story. So you had an open house, and the news covered it. Open houses don't usually show up on the news unless things have gone horribly, horribly wrong. But and it was layered into the news story. I mean, one, they were just as interested as I am and everyone else should be in what Respace is doing and changing the game of how we live. Really since the first time we ever slept it inside, I think. I mean, you are changing how it is being done, and that is amazing. But also what was making such a great story is hundreds of people showed up wanting to buy these things. You didn't have to put a guy in a monkey suit on the corner. You didn't have to blow up too many balloons. I mean, people were really interested and wanted to get in on this opportunity. So I was so impressed by
No
that.
monkeys needed. Yeah.
No monkeys needed. No. But if you ever do need a monkey, I don't know. I can work on my side spinning skills. But the news just doesn't come out. I mean, it's so hard to get any coverage from the media. And your first time out, you're getting and it ran like over and over, and it was the lead story for like
Lead
days.
news story. It was the lead news story for a full 24-hour cycle every single time. NBC, local King 5 News. It was the lead story, and it was above the fold on their website for that same period of time. So it was, and not only that, but all the other, all the brokerages, all the firms, Zillow, Redfin. We had Zillow agents out there. They're like, "This is my 10th time showing." We were on the market for 2 days. So we thought we'd see what kind of response we'd get. We had a ton of market research that we did. We did focus groups, and it was yes, 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 but you never really know till it's out there. So yeah, we had hundreds of people through, and we had over 100 of them that said buyers and agents who said either we want to know how to make an offer, or how do we make an offer? Hey,
Yeah.
We'll eliminate every contingency. Will you take escalation clauses? And so Redfin Corporate called me on Sunday morning. They called at 8 a.m. They're like, "Okay, Katrina, can you kind of explain this?" And I explained it, and they're like, "Yeah, that's what you wrote, and that's what we've been telling people." She said, "Our phones have been ringing off the hook."
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea, it's 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. We started answering at 7:30. We've already taken 10 phone calls.
That's
And yeah. So incredible reception in the market.
I mean, that's that. I think that's what they call proof of concept, right? That's proof of concept that you might be onto something here, and because it is a societal problem that you're solving. I mean, people can't live, but I also think it's even bigger than, oh well, I gotta have a longer commute to work. If we take home ownership, we've taken so much away from our children, in terms of what their future is going to look like, because we just went down this path and now we're here and we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. But if you are not able to buy a home, this will be the first time in history where that has been taken off the table. I mean, literally, or you have to live in some shack 2 hours away, to try. What kind of life could you possibly have? So the fact that you're bringing that new imaginative ways and not just going, hey, this is the amount of the house that they need. I mean, if you think about how many times you better go to the kitchen, I've thought about this before. You better go to the kitchen 100 times a day to justify the expense that kitchen is. I mean, why shouldn't that be spread out over 4 people? And millennials, for me, I like going to the kitchen in my underwear. Sorry, visual, block it out. But but with millennials and people who want to live this way, it's the social aspect, the community aspect of being part of a Respace that I think is the future, because they're very social people. They created social media, the millennials.
And you know what? And COVID was a huge catalyst for that. So people began going in droves, co-living during COVID. And people who could afford the whole thing, they weren't doing it because they considered it a mental health issue. And having community. And so, it's not necessarily also just affordability. Affordability is huge,
Yeah.
but it's also just like, how do we have balance and community in our life and, and great relationships and, have a life that we enjoy instead of everything being, everything's lonely and everything costs too much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't even think about the idea during COVID, and Respace is, like I said, you've thought it through from the homeowner side, from the financing side, the fact that you're able to get a mortgage for a dwelling this way. I guarantee on the mortgage applications, there is no box for Respace. I mean, you're creating a category, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, this is not, they have all the names for the dwellings, whether it's manufactured housing or something like that. But now Respace can be its own box, and that's what I think is so cool. But like all the amazing entrepreneurs that I work with, it's the social impact that drives you. This isn't about money. It couldn't be. You're not going to change the world. There's easier ways in the real estate market to make money, but this is changing something. And, from somebody who has 6 kids, leaving the planet better than when we found it. And also you're doing that with your foundation. So tell us about the Respace Foundation and all the great work you're doing there.
Yeah, I love to. And that's actually my favorite part. And so Respace Foundation, funded 100% by the projects and the properties and the things that we do, has 3 mandates. The first is financial literacy, right? We have a huge problem with financial literacy, not just in kids, but all the way through. It hasn't been being taught in schools for at least at least a generation or 2. So financial literacy is the first one, improving that. The second is funding nonprofits or organizations that are actually making a difference in solving homelessness, and then the third is it's a art, culture, beautification community. Think of that, right? So that the neighborhoods where the Respace assets, where the houses exist, it will fund things like, a pea patch or community art, or, maybe it's a block party, right? But anything that's lifting that neighborhood, that community up, and bringing togetherness and bringing beauty. So that the goal is that everyone wants to have a Respace home in their neighborhood.
I do. Now I do. Shoot, it's free food. It's a free sense of community. I totally dig all of that and everything you're doing. And then there's also another angle of what Respace is putting on the table, which is allowing people to invest in this concept. I mean, to me, this is, getting in on Uber and Airbnb when they first started. This is getting Bitcoin in the dollar, being able to create a sense of community, not just in the actual communities, but with the people who want to be a part of this and invest in something that is not only going to give us a great return, but is also going to change, the future for so many. So that's why I just put it up there very casually.
Yeah, and Matt, that's the reason why we chose WeFunder, actually. So actually, the WeFunder's logo or tagline is "Fixing Capitalism," but essentially, we're creating, we're creating wealth for everyone through co-home ownership, and that would be investors too. And Respace is what creates that, WeFunder creates that accessibility. So it allows everyone to be able to get in the game for as little as $500.
Which is crazy because, I mean, there's only a few ways you can invest in real estate. And I was a finance major. If you have a portfolio, some of that portfolio has to be in real estate. But then you go, okay, what am I going to do? Go flip a house? I'm not good at that, or, put it in a real estate mutual fund or a REIT or something like that. But they're just going to invest in real estate. When you invest in this, you're investing in Respace. And another genius thing I think is it's recession and crash proof, because if the market crashes for regular real estate, you will not be able to build these places fast enough. They're going to be running for what you have to offer. So it takes all the risk out of it. You've got amazing people on board. It's a family business. Your husband Rick is there. We've got great team at Respace. and you know, it's like anything I've learned from Kevin Harrington and the amazing successful people is that people don't invest in the products. I mean, that's nice, but they invest in the people behind the products. And when people invest in Respace, they're investing in you. And there's a reason why you're my first guest on this. And since you're also on Facebook, we're friends here. People should definitely go to WeFunder.com/Respace. But and I hate to do this on Facebook because you could wind up getting, you know, lunatics as well. But can people reach out to you directly on Facebook?
Yeah, please do. Just send me a request, Katrina Eileen Romatowski. Send me a message. I'll reach out to you, and we'll become friends.
That's all we can ask. Well, thank you so much for being my first guest. February 19th, she'll be taking the stage. You know, I'll be posting those videos. Still a little scared, but that's okay. And we're doing Last Seattle. We still have a couple spots open for that. So if you want to come hang out with us, let me know. I have one spot open for sure. I would love to have you go on this journey. Any questions about the stand-up challenge, you need to go to CEOstandupchallenge.com. And thank you again. And if you like this, put something in the comments. I'll do another one because this was darn fun. Thank you so much, Katrina. And we'll see you. Bye. Take care.
Yeah.